You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
This is Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the only thing that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. For over 16 years and 23 episodes of the Chris Voss Show, 10 to new 15 episodes a week. Boy, it's hard to keep up on. We call ourselves the podcast because we give you so much deets. You can just binge it all. Just binge the whole 23 episodes. Start at the beginning and just listen to it. And don't go to sleep until you do. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing man on the show we'll be talking to. In the meantime, go refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives, or else go to facebook.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss won the TikTokity, and chrisvoss.com/Chris Voss. I did them in reverse and lost my place. We had an amazing young man on the show today. We'll be talking to him about his insights. His book came out in 2012. It was called Resurrecting America's Entrepreneurial Spirit, a practical approach for creating jobs. We're going to talk about entrepreneurism, America, and how we can make more entrepreneurs. Joe Nicassio joins us on the show. We'll be getting into some of the details of his life, his experience, and why he helps employees become entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs and pre-entrepreneurs hire Joe Nicassio to achieve measurable success in growth and gain clarity because most of them feel stuck. They are struggling to find clients and are overwhelmed by too much mediocre advice. So what Joe does is helps them develop effective strategies, attract and retain clients, and focus on what truly matters to build strong, sustainable business foundation. And working with Joe, you experience real growth and success and practical steps in a supportive community. Welcome to the show, Joe. How are you?
I'm too blessed to be stressed. Thank you.
Too blessed to be stressed. You let that in the green room. I loved it, man. You should have a coffee cup or a T-shirt that says that.
Got everybody at church saying it.
That's probably a good place to have it. Let's talk about bada bing, bada boom. Let's talk about what's inside we want .coms, actually. Let's get the .coms out of the way. Give us your .coms on where people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, I'd say the easiest place to find me is employeeescapeplan.com. Mm-hmm. I have some other sites, but that's my program where I help people start a business from scratch, where I help you get job liberation. I transform employees into entrepreneurs, so you never have to go back to a soul-sucking job.
What's wrong with soul-sucking jobs and working for the man? What's wrong with that?
I'll tell you what's wrong with it is you're not truly self-reliant. You're employer-reliant.
Oh.
We've created a culture of people that are not self-reliant. They're government-reliant, charity-reliant, job-reliant, spouse-reliant, family-reliant. And I think there's just some superpowers here. There's something really magical about your ability to go into the marketplace and give value to other human beings and have them give you cash.
And have them give you cash. I like cash. I'm all in about the cash. There's a lot of. What are some of the other benefits that come with being an entrepreneur or working for somebody else?
I think there's three reasons. If you do it right, number one, you make money, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But money. Yeah.
You had me at money.
Yeah, it matches everything in my wardrobe. Clashes with nothing. But you also get a chance to do meaningful work. I think a lot of times in the normal job world, we are in a business by default. We don't get to use our full magic. But when you're in your own business, you can do meaningful work and you can bring a lot of your magic to the table and transform lives. Mm-hmm. And I think the third thing is you have an opportunity in your own business to have freedom. Live life on your own terms. Schedule your day on your own terms instead of being somebody else's servant.
Oh yeah, I mean it's really nice that you can. I mean, if you're successful in making money, you can usually pull funds or a paycheck when you want. You don't have to sit there and be like, "Hey boss, can I get like a advance or anything?" You can just go ahead and deal with the other thing. So
go get another customer.
If you want to make more money, you just go work harder and smarter and get more customers. That's the other way to do it.
We have a job, you get a payday maybe once a month, once a week. but if you close 5 sales in one day, you can have 5 paydays in one day.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of a plus.
So basically, there's a lot of freedom and there's a lot of self-actualization too. I mean, it's one of the most challenging things I think anybody can do, but it's one of the things that it'll grow you up and make you self-actualize and self-accountable in a lot of ways that nothing else will. Like it's maybe kids will make you self-accountable. I don't know. Although I haven't seen a lot of self-accountable parents, but that might be another problem. We don't know that we have.
Yeah, it's the ultimate personal development laboratory is your own business.
I like that. I like how you put it. That makes way more sense. And yeah, it's basically it's basically a way to get stuff done. So you help consult on this. Walk us through the book a little bit more. I mean, you talk about why entrepreneurs, where they come, their creativity. What does that creativity help that makes it help for just making good products and, of course, changing the world, actually? You look at what Steve Jobs did with the iPhone. He really changed the world.
I think, first of all, we're all self-employed, whether you want to admit to it or not. And if you have a business, you got 100 customers, you lose one, you're self-employed with 99 customers. If you have a job, in a way, you're self-employed. You do have one customer called your employer. Even if you're unemployed, you're self-employed with no customers. So I think the first thing is being an entrepreneur means you have to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm responsible for what comes in the door. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people think that it takes money to make money. I just don't buy into that. That's certainly one way, but it doesn't take money to make money. It takes customers. And if you can serve somebody today and get compensated today, you can make money today. And I think that a lot of times what we lack in resources like the cash, we can make up for in resourcefulness. And I think that's where the creativity and innovation comes in, is our ability to say, okay, there's other people out there. We live in a world of problems. There's 2 kinds of problems: the ones people will pay to solve and the ones they won't pay to solve. How can I solve somebody's problem and get paid for it? I made coffee mugs up for my clients. It says, I will solve your problems and you will pay me gratefully and generously. Oh. And if you're not grateful and you're not generous, you're not my client.
Out the door with you. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense as to how this works. In what ways, what services do you offer where you sit down with people and help them through this?
I'm a pretty much straight up business coach. I do help people. Half the people that I work with over the years are already making 3 or 5 or $700K a year, and they want to get to the next level. But for the person that's an employee and they want to start a business from scratch, look, if I'm going to help you leave the job you don't like, let's make sure we don't build a business that you don't like. Let's make sure that we create happiness let's make it so that you wake up every day saying, I love what I do and I'm good at what I'm doing. I'm using my superpowers. The other thing that I do is I think we know 9 out of 10 people fail in business, but not on my watch. So I've engineered a process to help people start a business from scratch and have success, I'd say almost every time.
Oh, wow.
And the first place we start, number one reason people fail is they're not in the right business in the first place. They're not in the right business for their personality. So choosing your business wisely is step number 1, because if you don't get that right, nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. It's really important to choose the right business, one that works for you as well. And you've got to be able to decide what you want. A lot of entrepreneurs fall into the business. They fall into the business because they discover a product or service that they try and they think it's it sucks or they could do it better. They look at a widget or a coffee cup or a paper clip and they go, oh, this is kind of okay, but I think I have some ways or ideas that I can make this better. And that's really the beauty of what it is. And then they tend to fall in love with what they do and how they do it. And I think that deepens their experience and their contributions that they can make to the world. And
maybe. I will respectfully kind of disagree. I think that's a mistake. My mentor was a guy named Jay Abraham, and he said, big mistake people make is they fall in love with their product or service. But what you really need to do is fall in love with your customer. And so instead of starting with a product or service, say, who is the human beings I want to serve? What problems do they have? They pay to have their problems solved. And then I can match the various products and services to them to solve their problems. Because without that human being customer, you don't have a business. A lot of people, they say if you build a better mousetrap, they'll beat a path to your door, but it's not true. If you build a better mousetrap, if you don't have customers, you end up with a garage or warehouse full of empty, unsold mousetraps.
And I've known some people who've ended up that way. Oh, so you work with them, you coach them, you know, if they're in a position where they're currently working for someone else, and like, hey, they reach out, they go, hey, I want to get out of all this stuff I'm doing with being an entrepreneur or being working for people. Help me figure out. Do you help them find the business maybe they're good at getting into, or something that might be a good fit for them that they might?
Yeah, that's the first step. Is I have a program called Business Wisdom Quest, and I actually have a proprietary process. I call it asset sculpting and value sculpting. It's kind of a 4-step process. It's the explorer, the artist, the judge, and the warrior. We explore what's the raw materials you have to work with. What are your skills? What are your talents? What are your passions? What are you good at? And then number 2 is we put on the next hat, which is the artist, and we start with 2 or 3 or 4 blank canvases. What does your dream business look like? Let's come up with 2 or 3 ideas and put them side by side. And then once we have some good ideas on the canvas, then we put on the third hat, which is the judge. We discern. You got to choose wisely, because we don't want you bouncing from one business to the next. We want you to choose one that you can do for hopefully many, many years to come. And once you made that wise decision and know it's viable, then the fourth hat is the warrior. Then we go out and start building it.
That's the way to do it right there. And so, you know, finding something you love is really important to me. I've talked about a lot on the show, because I create over 27 different companies, and I really didn't love any of them. I love being the CEO. I love being the innovator. I love being the investor, but I really didn't love any of them. And it really became a struggle for me to show up every day at work. I imagine people that are employees, you know, they probably struggle with every day showing up and dealing with that issue. But it was definitely hard for me to get used to it. I mean, what do you advise people on that sort of front?
That's step 1. You know, if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. And there are plenty of people that have made a fortune doing things fun. You know, if I look at, there's that guy, Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's the skateboard guy. You know, he made what, I don't know how much, but tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. His passion was skateboarding, and he raced in skateboarding. I think he loved doing that. And he came up with his own line of skateboards and merchandise, and they ended up making video games around the guy. But it was around his passion. You know, he was so good at skateboarding. You can actually build a business around something you love. Another one of my clients is a guy named Sumed Chatterjee. He's in India. And we were going through the whole process of what's the right business for you. And he had a master's degree in creative or coaching psychology from a university in London. Very bright guy, but he wasn't making money. And he goes, what do you love doing? He goes, I love getting into the flow state. He goes, you mean I could build a business doing the thing that I love doing the most? And I'm like, why not? And he started the Flow Zone Academy, and he started publishing articles. Next thing you know, he's like one of the world's biggest experts on getting into the flow state.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we've had him on the show, so I'll have to check on that. Getting in the flow state and all that good stuff. So, as it were, yeah, finding something you love makes all the difference when you show up for work every day. It really does. I mean, if you can find something you're passionate about, I really tell entrepreneurs, try and find something that you love, that you're passionate about, that you can show up every day for. Because, man, when you got to show up for something you're just not that interested. I mean, no matter how much money it makes, no matter how successful it is.
Chris, I get these calls, you know, Hey, Joe, I just made the first sale in the business you helped me start. Hey, Joe, I'm making enough money in the business you helped me start. I was able to give my notice to quit my job today.
Wow.
To me, like, that fills my soul. When I put my head on my pillow at night, it's like, wow, I did something good. You know, I changed somebody's life. I helped liberate them from their cubicle and, you know, help them become more self-reliant as an entrepreneur. And it feels pretty good to know, you know, it's great if you can make $1, but it's even better if you can make a difference.
Yeah. I mean, making a difference, that really helps in people's, in what they're trying to achieve. So one of the things about starting a business, do you help them hire assistants, mentors, attorneys, help them plan out what format of business they should use, sole proprietorship, partnership?
No. You know, I think a lot of people, you know, you go to the Small Business Administration, you know, how do I start a business? And they'll have you go spend a bunch of money on setting up an LLC and getting legal stuff done, an accountant. It's like, you know, you're spending a lot of money. You haven't even gotten your first customer yet. You know, so it's a little bit of a chicken egg thing. It's like, let's prove your concept. You know, I have kind of this 9-step process. And you know, after you get all 9 of these steps working, then maybe you'll go up and set your corporation up. But first one is choosing your business. Second one is, you know, establish your brand. What do you stand for? And the third one is come up with your primary offer. What are you selling? Like, don't go out and do a bunch of legal stuff if you don't even have something to sell yet. The fourth thing is become a good storyteller around your business. Nobody wants to hear another advertisement, but everybody likes a good once upon a time. And then you need to find a way to generate leads, get people to raise their hand. And then you want to have a way to nurture those leads. And then finally, the final three pieces are you want to fill your calendar up with people that are warmed up. I say it's better to kiss a girl who's leaning into you than try to kiss a girl who's leaning away from you. And the same thing's true in business. And step 8 is, you want to get good at closing sales and receiving cash. And then final step is deliver the goodies. Because when client results is the new marketing. If you help people win in their life because of the things they hired you to do, you'll get that repeat business, the referral business, the testimonials, all the good stuff. So when you get all that stuff working, then go out and go talk to your attorneys and your accountants and your CPAs, but actually make something that works before you start throwing money down the sewer.
I like your thing. Make sure the widget works. I mean, that was one thing I learned in business early on is make the widget in the smallest, cheapest format you possibly can. See if it works or if it has, commercial viability. There's a lot of people who do that. They'll build apps or they build different things and they don't test to see if there's really any need for it.
Right.
And, I've seen people do that with apps. And I had a good friend who actually was on the team that built the iPhone. He built an app that it was kind of like how would you describe it? It might have been a WordPress killer, but basically it allows you to design things. But when I sat down with him, I go, okay, hand it to me. Let me play with it. And he goes, no, I'm going to have to explain it all to you so you understand it. And I'm like, well,
it's vaporware. It doesn't exist yet.
Yeah. You just explained he was going to show me on the computer, but the problem is he just failed the intuitive test. So if you can't hand it to half an idiot like me, and within a short while I can make sense of it. Now I review products, so I purposely don't read instructions just to test the intuitivity of a product and how easy it is to use and utilize. I obviously don't buy anything from IKEA.
Right.
But, he says, I'm going to spend a half an hour explaining it to you. And I'm like, dude, this isn't a product or service you want. You can't go around and explain a 30-minute instructional video thing to each one of your prospective clients. This is insane. Yeah.
It should be easy to understand, easy to buy, and easy to use.
Yeah. And it ended up failing. So you advise over 4,000 business owners in over 400 different industries. You've helped them grow their existing businesses. So you not only work with people that are looking to go from being employees, you help people get unstuck from maybe whatever they're doing in business. Yeah.
Look, my story is I've got an electrical engineering background. I did that for decades, made $1 million, lost everything in the late 80s. Wow. But I ended up getting mentored by a guy named Jay Abraham, and I transcribed decades of his marketing think tank audio recordings, and those all went into the Jay Abraham Marketing Encyclopedia. And in 1999, I said, okay, I'm no longer a tech guy. I'm a marketing consultant. I started coaching existing business owners, but I kept running into people that said, I don't have a business. I'm not making money. I have a job. I hate it. And I wish somebody would teach entrepreneurship the right way. And nobody really is, and prayed about it. And the answer I got back from God is if you don't help people start a business the right way, no one will. Because there's not a lot of money in helping people start from zero. Now, I do charge fees for what I do, but I just feel if somebody really wants to be mentored and get it right from the beginning, we can do that, and we can really mitigate the chance of failure. I like what Warren Buffett says, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, it's not so risky.
That's a good point. Sounds like a lot of the stuff that went on in my life. And I noticed on your website you have a thing called the phases. You have about, I think it's 9 phases here. Do you want to walk us through some of this so people can understand it?
Sure. The first one I think we covered pretty good, which is choosing your business wisely. The second phase is, there's 3 major phases: the do what you love, share the love, receive the love. So choosing your business wisely is the first one. The second one is branding, and branding is the impression that you leave in the marketplace. And it's also a reflection of what do you stand for. Seth Godin wrote a book called Tribes, and he says, there is no leader without a tribe, and there is no tribe without a leader. And the highest paid person is the tribal leader. So we don't follow a person, we follow a cause. So really good question is, what do you stand for? And if what you stand for is something powerful, then your tribe will align with you.
Ah.
And then the third piece has to do with brand offers. You need to have one good offer. What's your primary offering that you love offering it, they love buying it, and you love delivering it. And hopefully you're charging enough money that you can make a living. So when I work with a new person, I like to get them to sell something in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. Because if you only make 1 to 2 to 3 sales a month, 3 sales of a $3,000 service is $9,000 a month. That's $5,000 in America is like kind of breaking even. $10,000 in America is kind of like starting to get ahead. And so let's get you making your first $5,000 a month, and then we aim for 10, and then after that we start shooting for 20.
Oh.
So those are the first 3 pieces.
And it helps get into this stuff. Choosing the right business is important. Right. If you don't have that fit, if you're not doing what you love, if it doesn't make sense for you, if it's kind of against what you really feel you want to be doing, you can go work for an employer and get that sort of experience.
If you want to take a paycheck and be miserable, that's available for you.
Exactly. That's always available for you. So you can fall back on that anytime you want. Your branding represents what you stand for is phase 2. You talk about the brand love. So it's about building the story, I think, behind that.
Well, story is another part, but let me give you an example of branding, not necessarily popular, but he's the president of the United States now. Not everybody likes the president of the United States, but that thing that he stands for, MAGA, Make America Great Again, that's the result of a very powerful brand. MAGA is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not MAGA, but people like, I don't necessarily like the guy, but I like the idea of making America great again versus making America sucky again. And so because he stands for that, and I don't want to go down a political path here,
sure, yeah.
But, it's by having a strong brand, I think that's something that really helped him, win the highest office in the land.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're looking at what is it? I just thought it was funny what you said. No one wants to make America worse. Although I don't know, everybody seems to do that. So what are you going to do that way? But we like to have fun in this world. So what is some of the big struggles you see in current employers? What do you see them guys who already have their business, and what are they usually struggling with usually?
I think the biggest thing is making sure that you have an offer that resonates. That's certainly, if you don't have a good offer, when you go to somebody like FedEx, when it absolutely positively has to get there overnight, it is their branding, but it is their offer also. We can get it there overnight if you really want to get it there overnight. So you need to have a good offer. I think the second thing that people they really struggle with is generating leads. Too many people are chasing, they're being the desperate sales guy. They're making 200 calls a day, and I don't like to chase people. I like to attract people, and I like to teach people how to attract people. And, we see this movie, Glengarry Glen Ross. Everybody wants the Glengarry leads. Oh, guess what? The Glengarry leads are come from nurturing. You gotta and when you think about it, everybody wants a lead, but what is a lead? A lead is a human being that raised their hand. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like to think of it as hand raising. You can get somebody to raise their hand, they're showing some interest. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people don't necessarily think in those terms. They just want to stack a piece of paper that I can calls and people are going to buy. But if we really understand that, if I could show you a way to make the Chris Voss Show, generate an extra, $100,000 a year, would you be open to taking a look at, if you raise your hand and show interest, okay. He's not necessarily a buyer. On a scale of 1 to 10, he might be a 2 or 3 or 4, but I've at least got you to raise your hand and show some interest. I want that little slight leaning into me. Oh. And I think the third thing is that people suck at is they don't know how to make sales. They suck. I was just watching an old reality TV show where they sent all these people into the streets, and they had MBAs and from prestigious schools, and their first assignment was to go sell lemonade. And my goodness, these trained business school experts could not sell lemonade. Okay. And so we got to learn that skill for the persuasion side.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I think if you have a good offer and you can generate leads and you can close sales, those are really good fundamentals to get the thing off the ground.
Mm-hmm. What are the things that we need to discuss that you help people do and achieve?
I think the primary thing is centered around building a better business. There's actually 9 drivers in a business. Okay. And I don't know if I'll get all 9 off the top of my head. There's marketing, there's mindset, clearly. If you don't have the right ideology, if you've got baggage around money, that certainly could be a limiting thing. But if you have healthy money beliefs, that could help a lot. Marketing, distribution channels. You're trying to sell your stuff at a flea market? Are you trying to sell it through Walmart? Are you trying to sell it through country clubs? You want to make sure that your products are in the right, or services in the right distribution channel. Relationships. It's not what you know, but who you know, who wants to know you. And if you're still hanging out with your buddies in the ghetto, guess what? You're going to probably struggle in your business. You're going to have to upgrade your circuit, And then there's systems. We need to have the right systems and processes and procedures. You might have a great business, but if you're disorganized, that's clearly a problem. Then, business model. If you're trying to make 10 grand a month and you're selling $100 service, you got to do a lot of transactions to make a living. You need to have the right business model. There's about 9 of them, but off the top of my head, those are some of them.
Nice. So as we go out, tell people how they can onboard with you, how they can get to know you better, how can they reach out through your website and do all that.
Sure. I think the easiest thing to do is go to employeeescapeplan.com. From there, the very bottom of the page is my calendar. I do have a free gift. Once upon a time, I put together a training. I used to charge people $200 to go through this training. It's called Conversations into Cash, how to turn conversations into cash. And the whole idea is having the skill to go out, meet total strangers, have a conversation, and make a $20 sale real quick. And don't underestimate $20. $20 a day is over $7 grand a year. $100 a day is 36 grand, a year. But the whole idea is, how can you have the confidence to do $20,000 deals if you don't have the confidence to do $20 deals? So if people go to conversationsintocash.com, they can get access to a video training that I did. It's about an hour long.
Okay.
And so that's a freebie that's available.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, man.
Thank you for thanking me. I appreciate being appreciated.
Thanks for audience for tuning in. Order up the book wherever fine books are sold, Resurrecting America's Entrepreneurial Spirit, a practical approach for creating jobs, and reach out to Joe. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity and all those crazy places in it. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that should have us out.